Hello, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Chronicles. My name is Sarah, and today I'm here with my husband, Jeremy.
Hello.
And today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Mishka Sibert, and she's from Happy Autism. Hi, Mishka. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. Um, so Mishka, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Mishka Sibert. I'm originally from Slovakia, and I run a creative online business with my brother, who's nonverbal and he's autistic. He's turning 19 in like 2 months. So I created a job for him because I wanted him to have a happier future, happy autism. Can you see? So he's a wonderful artist and he's also creative director, making decisions non-verbally, but also through our beautiful communication and connection. And I'm also a host of our Happy Autism podcast and coach and healer that I'm helping special needs moms and siblings create a healthy and balanced relationships within their family.
Yes. All that is really amazing. So what was your inspiration for Samko's art to get it out there into the public?
I was really inspired by the fact that he created something so beautiful with his hands, since he can't write or draw or read. So when he started going to art therapy classes when he was 12, I was really, really inspired and I was really shocked. I was like, wow, I can see the future here. I can see bright future here. I can see happier future here. There is some gift and let's work on that. So he was working on this at his school. And then back in 2016, I got his idea. I was like, I want the world to see the beauty he creates and this beautiful, just joyous, colorful spectrum he pours into art. So I created my first t-shirt, and also I wanted, since I traveled and I lived in London, I wanted him to be closer with me and to have a piece of him with me because I really missed him. So I created my first t-shirt and then I introduced to my friends and they're like, yeah, we can help you with that. We can choose someone that creates merch. And that's somehow we started, and it was just wonderful. It's the first idea, but I'm really glad that I took the initiative, even though I didn't know really what I was doing, to be honest.
Yeah. And I've seen pictures of your brother's art on the t-shirts on your website, and they are absolutely beautiful. Just to personalize what I've seen from you, and your brother, our son Joey really likes art. Um, he's just, he's 6, he's nonverbal, and he's just learning how to put stickers on things or use a crayon. He's been using crayons and coloring in speech therapy. So he's always responded to colors, and
Yeah.
I really hear your story, and I see this as opening a door that's never been opened before for Joey. So thank you for that.
Yes, that sounds beautiful. I'm grateful for that.
As are we.
Yeah, as are we. Um, so being a sibling and having a sibling, so with such different needs, and I'm sure your brother probably has some extensive needs, being nonverbal, and it's probably a rough go growing up. Can you explain what that was like? Was there like really hard moments for your family? I'm sure.
Yes, especially since there were no like available like therapies or resources, or we didn't really know what the heck we were doing as a family, to be honest. We struggled because like 15, 16 years ago, he was diagnosed when he was 2.5 years old.
Yeah.
So it's like around 2004. And then, at the time, there was not much about autism, like, and especially in Slovakia also. So my parents were trying to dig deep into different books and really internet and try to figure out like how can we support him, why he reversed in terms of like his speech, because he wasn't speaking. That's why I went to get a diagnosis into, we didn't even know that autism exists, and we really went to figure out like why he's not speaking and why he was saying just a few words, but then he was very, very, very limited. And then he reversed and he stopped speaking anymore, and he didn't have this eye contact and so on. And then the doctor said, it's like, well, he's got autism and your life will be like this and this and this and constant routine and the same road all the time. And my parents, they love traveling, and so do I. So they said, no, 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 we're not doing this. We've been traveling since it was 10 months old. We're gonna keep traveling. So we did what we really like felt like doing. I followed our intuition, and we broke those limits. And my brother is obsessed with traveling, to be honest. He loves it so much. He absolutely adores it. You know, we were told many stories that were maybe really quite depressing, to be honest. But my parents didn't give up. I didn't give up, and it was hard, but we somehow managed, you know. And I must say that my mom, she's a warrior, because my parents are separated, and she still was like, she's very, very devoted, and she's wonderful. And she is very rebellious. She doesn't really listen to, if someone tells her something that, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, you should be doing that. She listens to her intuition, which I really, really appreciate. And she listens to me. So if I saw something as a sibling, I would tell her, and she would listen. And that's what I'm hugely grateful for.
That's amazing. It sounds like your family is incredible advocates for your brother. And we've seen situations where, unfortunately, families with children on the spectrum can't go to restaurants anymore. And
Yeah.
that's something we love to do as a family, is go out to eat, and we like to go take our son camping and everything like that. So again, your story resonates with us, and I'm grateful for you and your family for paving the way and continuing to do that. What was your family's response to you getting your brother's artwork on t-shirts and getting it out there to the public?
So my mom, like, by the way, I'm gonna get back to also the restaurant thing. I completely understand what you mean. We love eating out, we love going to adventures. And my mom and brother just went to one hotel with spa in our mountains in Slovakia, where we were together, I think like 10, 11 years ago. And the situation completely changed. 10, 11 years ago, my brother couldn't even like sit in a restaurant. He was throwing all the like cutlery on the floor. He was making all the scenes, and he was just not behaving peacefully, right? Now, after all this hard work we've done with him, and also at a school, which he's got really good school, he is like acting like a gentleman. He's gonna sit there, he's gonna wait, he's gonna be patient, and this for us is extremely mind-blowing. So if any of the parents are listening and they have problems like where the children are having meltdowns in the public, yes, that was our situation. Like, people thought that we are doing something bad to Samko, because he was like constantly crying and screaming and having many, 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 many meltdowns. And we didn't know how to manage that really. It was very hard for us. So going traveling was horrible. And I'll be honest with you, it wasn't easy. But now he loves it, and he got used to it. So he put him into many challenging situations, and we put ourselves into many challenging situations, and we overcame them through this persistence. You know, practice makes it perfect, right? Oh, better.
Exactly. Yes. And we still do. We take Joey places, and sometimes he does great and amazes us, and other times he has meltdowns. And
Yeah.
you know, it is what it
Yeah.
is. If he has a meltdown, I look around at everybody like, you know what? It is what it is.
Exactly.
I've learned to stop letting the judgments bother me as a parent. So
Yes, 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 yes. I feel you. I'll tell you something. The judgment is the reason why I became an advocate, because we were bullied. You know, like I was bullied at school when I was a kid, and that is not such a horrible thing. As for me, I didn't see it as such a horrible thing. Made me stronger. As to when someone bullied my brother, or was calling him names, or was like judging our parents, or the reason why is because I saw him. It's not his fault the way he is. This is just the way he is. This is him.
yeah.
So it's not doing anything bad. So people were quite cruel, and I'm not. They were scared of something unknown. Obviously, their reaction was like that because they didn't know what it is and why he's acting this weird way. So people were not educated, and it took me years to realize when I was a teenager. I was like, do you know what? I will stop shouting at people and defending my brother. I will start educating people. So I turned this anger, this fire, into passion for advocacy. And literally everywhere I go, I talk to my brother. Like, that's why I also wear the clothes most of the time. It's because people are like, oh, what you wearing? It's a great conversation starter. I'm like, here you go. I've got photos of my brother and of our brand in my phone. I will just tell them straight away and in like 5 minutes, and like blown away. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, here you go. You can see. So I'm making autism visible, and I'm speaking up for my brother and showing, here you go. Let's talk about autism. Let's educate people. Because if they're not educated, then they will be scared and they just act really in these harmful ways. So that's where all this passion came from. This is a place.
1,000%. I think a big problem we have with people is they just don't understand autism because they've never been exposed to it. And
Yes.
so I like to follow your lead on that. When people ask questions, I like to answer them kindly and respectfully. Or when Joey's doing something that's different, I like to explain to them he's doing this because it calms him or whatever.
Mhm.
So your art now, your brother's art on the t-shirts have been praised by celebrities. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So this was a surprise, big surprise. Something came, just, you follow your dream and you try things and then you see whatever happens. And my intention, my grandma always used to tell me, is like, when you have good intention, God and universe will help you make that happen and bring good people to you. And I was like, oh, wow. So I really love that saying, because this is always, I always had intention to help people since I was a kid. My grandma was doing that and I was really inspired by her. And especially when Samko was born, I became even bigger advocate for making a difference. So, and that's why I went to study actually media, because I wanted to know how to make impact with stories and share positivity and joy and inspiration for media, instead of like trying to manipulate people or like bring negative things. I wanted to bring positive things. So when I lived in London, I became a friend with one press journalist from Slovakia. His name is Boris Pršo, and he is doing press interviews with Hollywood actors and musicians. And he flew to London a lot. We would hang out because I was studying TV. So, and then when I came to him one day at one event, it was actually a red carpet for Beatles. We went there just to like to see the movie. It was crazy. Trust me, like being next to Paul McCartney and Madonna, I was like, what I'm doing here? What am I doing here? Why am I walking this carpet like at the premiere? I don't understand this at all. But see, God and universe has greater plans. So we were just chatting, and I'm like, hey, Yellowstone, I have this idea. I'm turning my brother's art, he's autistic, into t-shirts, and it's really unique. And I want to raise awareness. And he's like, oh, cool. And 3 weeks later, he sent me a message, Mishka, are you releasing the t-shirts? When are they out? Where are they launching them? I was like, just in a few days, we're just doing finishing touches. And it's like, I need 3 t-shirts within 4 days. Like, send it to me. And I'm like, can I ask you for who are they for? Like, who does need my t-shirts? And he's like, yeah, I'm just doing an interview with Ben Affleck and Anna Kendrick, because Ben plays an autistic character in the movie The Accountant. So just send them to me within like 4 days. And I'm like, yeah, casually, of course, no problem. Ben Affleck, yeah, of course. So I freaked out. I was like, what is happening? I don't know. But I took this, fast action. And Boris, he doesn't, for him, it's not a big thing. He even said it in our interview, in our documentary. We wrote to Independence, 4-part mini documentary series on our IGTV. You can see it. And it's actually, you can see the Samko's reaction and Ben's reaction to t-shirt. And Ben was really surprised. He was like, whoa, cool. This is super cool. Like, he's expressing himself in art. This is cool. And I stalked his paparazzi photos because I wanted to see which color he wears and what size. So this was really weird experience for me, to be honest. But he loved it. And the point was that he talked about autism, and he talked how he did research with autistic people, and that was aired in our Slovak media and YouTube channel of Boris. And that was the point. I wanted to raise awareness, and I raised it because people joined the movement and good people join the movement. And this is what happens with us. Like, this is how we keep going and we keep growing, because I have very big dreams and I'm working on a startup idea actually for autistics. So yes.
Amazing. Amazing. And well deserved too. You and your brother definitely deserve this recognition.
Thank you.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Was there ever a moment where, or how did your brother, I know he's nonverbal, so how did he communicate that he wanted to go forward with this? Like what were your clues? Does he use a device or?
It's this is exactly like I did a reel yesterday, Instagram reel, because on that, and someone asked me 2 days ago, I was like, so when I told him that, yeah, my brother's creative director in a business and, you know, he's an artist, and he's like, what? Like, how does he, how do you run a business? Like, how do you communicate with your brother? Like, doing this, like, how does he make decisions? And I'm like, non-verbally. And I did like so in our documentary you can see basically I capture a lot of behind the scenes, and I even like we have like now, because I'm in a different country, we have weekly business calls, and I can read my brother really well. This is the thing, like he has PECS cards and that he was taught at school to express himself through PECS, but he doesn't really use that, to be honest. We even when he's at home like with us, if someone else, he doesn't use it much. What we do, we tell him to use it because so he can communicate with someone that he meets for the first time or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you really pay attention and you see he's very expressive, well, even when you watch our documentary, you can see, or your Instagram, you can see he's very expressive. So he's learned how to communicate through sounds, through the way of like his gestures, body language, all the nonverbal communication. I feel he nails pretty well. And I started learning how to communicate with him by asking questions, yes and no questions. So this is how I do. I ask him direct questions and close questions so he can answer yes or no, or show the difference. And so when I showed him back in 2016, I showed him through visuals because he's a visual artist. He communicates visually. So I showed him pictures. And I saw, and I asked him which one to point on a screen, which one is his favorite t-shirt. And he pointed at the one that he gave to Ben Affleck, and that is now our Spectrum collection. It's the main design that we use. And it was his third painting that he's ever done. But he chose that design, that is his most favorite one. That was in 2016, but now, 5 years later, he's understanding grew exponentially and he understands way more. So I know how to communicate with him through this practice, but also at his school, they taught him about service and paying for service with money. So for example, what they created is at school, they have a cafe that is run by autistics. So autistics serve each other. So they create sandwiches and they make money, and Samko will go and he's like pointing at a cheese and sandwich, and he's like pointing that, and teacher will guide him, and they've been doing this since he was maybe 12, 13, 14, and he will take out the cash, and he learned that he's okay, I'm paying for something with this coin in my head, so I'll give you this and you give me that. So I made everything very physical, and his art is abstract, but I'm making communication very physical and visual. So I show him. So I asked people that bought our t-shirts or clothes to send us photos of them wearing the clothes. So I always go, here's a painting, here's a lady, her name is Lane, and her son Parker. They're wearing your t-shirts. And now I take this much coin and I put it in your tip jar. So it's got like coin jar and I put money in there. And he's like, oh, and I repeat that constantly. And he sees it and he's like, and we clap and we're excited and he feels my joy and he's joyous about this because it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I'm joyous, he's joyous. And he just feels my emotion. And through that, he responds with emotion. And the even better thing is that then we go to shop. And when we were shopping for colors, he wanted to buy more colors, but he was limited because my mom was like, no, it is expensive. We're not going to spend so much time. You know, you use a lot of colors, because he will like use a lot of colors on painting, and he paints with hands. So now he could buy so many. He could use 50 euros or 60 euros. Like he could use his own money, and he was not limited in what he wants to buy and what he can buy. He was so excited because he was walking around the store like, oh my god, I'm so rich, you know. And then he went with the cash, and he was the one that was giving the money to lady. It wasn't us doing that, he was doing that, and he felt very empowered, um because he was the one claiming his independence, and he was the one taking action. It wasn't us doing it for him, he was doing it for himself.
Like I'm smiling so hard listening to this. Because it's just so beautiful. I almost have tears in my eyes. And I don't get
Yeah.
emotional much, so yeah. Um, but I just think it's so amazing. So back to your family's response.
Mhm.
How has that changed over time, or what was their response?
That's a very good question, because I'll be honest with you, and I always say that my mom knows I say that publicly, is that my mom obviously struggled since then when my parents separated, and that really triggered a lot. My mom was very heartbroken, and I was very triggered in a way that I wanted her to be happy, and I wanted my brother to be happy. And she had a lot of pain, and that's why I became healer, and that's why I studied how to heal pain, how to trauma and relationships. It's because I wanted my mom to be happy, and I want my brother to be happy, and I wanted to be happy. I want us all be happy. So since we were going through a lot of pain, and I saw her broken heart, I was like, and fears. And I went, each time I went to a foreign country or was traveling, and because I'm a global citizen, that's how I call myself. I love world.
Yeah.
And it's connected to my brother and spreading the awareness and building bridges, really physically building bridges for people. So, and she knows that but each time I was somewhere away, she's like, yeah, well, you know, you're again away, and you know what will happen to Samko. I'm really worried about him. And she was really low. She was very scared. Like she felt a little lonely, and she's like not supported. And she was always saying like, what will happen with Samko? What will the future be like? You're living your own life, and da da da. I was like, Mom, I will be there for him. Like I will never abandon him. Like and trust me. She's like, yeah, but you're far away. So she didn't really, she had a lot of fears, and I was very heartbroken as well, because I tried to prove her that, you know, I have a plan, that I'm not gonna just abandon my brother, and that it's gonna be good. But she couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I did. And even though I didn't know how, I just knew it's gonna work out. So but it was very painful for me, because I felt that she doesn't trust me, and she's doubting me, and she couldn't see really through her own pain and struggles and fears the the light and beyond that. She couldn't see beyond that. And I knew there's something there. I always been like this big dreamer, rebellious innovator, and always like, and I told her, look what I've achieved so far in my own life, my own career. Like I know like it's gonna work out. So it was kind of disheartening for me, not kind of, it was very disheartening for me not to have any person to be believing in this. I was really lonely in that. Um, and, but I was like, okay, well, whatever, what I've got to lose. So when this happened with Samko and Ben Affleck, she was obviously like so amazed, and she was like, well, this is great. So she saw some hope that this can go somewhere. She saw that, okay, this can work out. But then what happened is like we were going through some family stuff with my grandma, and I was burned out in London exactly when this happened. So you have like Ben Affleck praising like the idea that I just created lonely, not knowing anything on my own, just trying to figure it out. which was amazing. But I felt like I disappointed my mom because she felt hope for a little while, and then I didn't have any energy, nor knowledge, nor sponsor, nothing to really support that and to make it grow and to use this wonderful thing that was like, and use this situation. And I know it's a situation opportunity that there is Ben Affleck and I can organize media. I didn't know what to do with this. And I felt like a failure because I was not only burning out in London, I had 2 jobs, working so hard because it's very hard to live there and it's very expensive. And there were a lot of like my old trauma started coming up and I started having mental health problems. And I didn't know that I have this caregiver burnout and this is what it is. I didn't know that this is what it is. I just was really depressed and anxious. So I was in a crosswalks, right?
Yes.
But what happened is like that was wonderful because this dark moment really made me realize that I need to really take care of my own health. And I started digging deeper into, I had a few moments like that, but this was the big one. So I started doing the trauma healing and inner child healing and really working on my mental health, like really making that as a first thing and making my mental health priority. And that started changing things. So she saw that for her was my happiness was number one, and she was like, don't worry about this, blah blah blah, your health is number one. But then when the pandemic started in 2020 in March, I actually got an idea. I was like, I want to, because people were asking me, it's like, what happened with those teachers, what happened with those teachers? And each time I was just like feeling so like a failure, right? Because I could not make this happen. And I told my mom, I'm really scared. Like I'm really scared that I fail and I will disappoint you and my brother. She's like, no, you didn't disappoint me. It's amazing that you did that. I was like, yeah, but I want to make this big. Like I want to make this work. I want to do business with my brother. Like I have so many ideas, but I don't know. So I invested literally all the money that I earned into learning, into courses, into trying and just give it a try. And my mom was like, you're a different person now. You have different knowledge. You've grown. You've learned. It is a different story. Don't let the old story. It was on a failure as lesson. So try it. And she was very supportive. And if she wasn't supportive, probably I wouldn't have courage to start again. And my intention was to bring joy to people because the pandemic started and I wanted to bring hope to parents and joy. And that was my intention. I wanted to have fun. And my brother would spend a lot of time at home. So it really helped our relationship. And people were so jealous. We were so surprised. And my mom was like, whoa, this is happening. It's happening. And I started creating new streams, and I created like 5 streams of income for my brother. And it wasn't really about like how much money he makes, because it didn't have to be like huge income. It was a structure. It was making something work that can be leveraged and can be turned into something even bigger, not just for my brother, but for whole autism community, which is what I'm working on now.
Amazing. Just amazing. Do you have any advice for siblings with, with a sibling who is nonverbal?
Yes. Siblings are hugely empathetic and they see things. This is advice for siblings and both and for parents, whoever listens to this, because I talk a lot about my sibling during my podcast, and I talk about things that siblings are scared to talk about. Because they don't look, siblings don't want to be a burden, and they don't want to, they don't even share with their parents. And this is how I know, because I spoke to them, and especially women. I'm not sure about men, but women and young women in their 20s. They don't want to share with their parents that they're struggling, because they're like, oh, my brother or my sister has special needs. He's more special. He's more important. That's is what I learned. And I always say, no, your special needs siblings, you've got special needs too. It is literally in your name. It's like special needs. It's because it's not just your siblings' needs, but also your needs are extremely important, because if you don't take care of yourself and without feeling guilty, which it takes, like, it took me years to actually put my mental health first without feeling guilty. I almost lost my life. I had to experience that experience to realize there's something wrong with me sacrificing myself for others constantly, and to the extent that it's literally very, very, very dangerous. So I started like digging deeper into that, and I realized, okay, it's time to act, because if a sibling is not there in the future, who will be there? Parents are already, it's already hard for parents, and it's the parenting for like 60 years or so. Like, it's not for 18 years, it's for whole life. And parents are not supported enough by government and institutions and so on. It's still not enough. After so many years, still not enough. So siblings are the hope, and those siblings are passionate advocates. Many of them are. Many of them want to help, but I hear that parents are standing in the way, or they don't know how to do it, or they don't have energy to do it. And the energy they don't have because the trauma is draining them. When you're depressed, it's like you basically are so tired all the time and you don't have this energy to actually do anything. So this is why I'll say, make your self-care and health, mental health priority, because this is the only way how you can truly support your family. This is the only way.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Can you let my audience know, or is there anything you want to tell my audience before you let them know where to find you?
Try to look beyond the horizon, even if you don't know where you're going. There's always solution. And many times we stand in our own way of making things work. And I can tell you that because sometimes I try to control things so much. So for me, what I've been learning and really helped me is to surrender and be present and appreciate the moment, because that moment will fly away so quickly. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it. Can you and thank you so much for coming on. Can you let our audience know where they can find you and Samko's art?
Of course. Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure. You can find us at happyautism.co. There's our website, or you can find us on Instagram at Happy Autism or at Mishka Sibert. And also you can find our YouTube channel and podcast on our website, or our YouTube channel, Happy Autism Podcast, and you will find that. So this is quite easy, but it's good.
And I will also link, if it's okay with you, Mishka, I will also link your website in our show notes for this episode. If that's okay with you, I would love to do that, because I think what you're doing is incredible and what your brother's doing is incredible. Thank you again so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to wrap up this week's episode of Caregiver Chronicles. If you have any questions, you can reach us at...
we are on Caregiver Chronicles on Facebook, at Caregiver Chron 1 on Twitter, and Caregiver Chronicles 2 on Instagram. You can also reach us at Anchor. We're Caregiver Chronicles there. Or you can send us an email at caregiverchroniclespod@gmail.com.
And thank you all again for listening. See you next week.
Bye.